Quantum empathy. Activate your supersensitivity and read people like an open book introduction. You are an antenna. It's time to switch on. Imagine for a moment that the entire world is a giant, vibrating ocean of information. Every thought, every emotion, every memory, and every unfulfilled desire is a ripple on the surface of this ocean. Most people swim in this ocean, sensing only the largest waves: obvious anger, joyful laughter, declared sadness. They perceive the world through the filters of logic and the 5 basic senses. But you are different. From birth, you possess a kind of psychic sonar. You walk into a room and in a fraction of a second, even before the first handshakes and smiles, you already know. You don't just know moods. You read the deep narratives of human souls. Who here is lying to themselves, hiding behind a mask of success? Who is oppressed by a quiet, existential melancholy that they carefully conceal even from loved ones? Who exudes confidence but trembles inside with the fear of being exposed? You feel unspoken resentments that, like scars, remain on a person's energetic body. You see dormant potential that has never been awakened. Since childhood, you've been told you have to vivid an imagination, stop making things up. You take everything too much to heart. These phrases, like dull scissors, clipped the wings of your gift. You were made to doubt the very reality of your experience. You learned to wear a mask of normality, to suppress your sensations, to explain them away as coincidence or self-suggestion. But what if this is not a defect, not a disorder, not a weakness of the nervous system? What if it is the next stage of human evolution? What if your hypersensitivity is actually quantum empathy, an innate, highly developed ability to read nonverbal, energetic, and field information encoded in the quantum fabric of reality? Today, we will not talk about esotericism in its pop culture understanding. We will talk about science, about how recent discoveries in quantum physics, neuroscience, psychology, and information field theory provide a rational explanation for those paranormal abilities you may have suppressed in yourself for years. This is not a call to believe in miracles. This is an instruction manual for your own consciousness, a guide on how to stop being broken and start being a supersensitive antenna, tuned to the subtlest frequencies of existence. How to turn your gift from a curse-causing burnout and overload into your most powerful and precise life resource. Part 1. Deep dive. What is quantum empathy? It's not about emotions to understand the essence of quantum empathy. We must go beyond conventional definitions. Ordinary or effective empathy is the ability to empathize, to feel the emotions of another person as if they were your own. This is the level of the heart, important but limited to momentary states. Quantum empathy is something orders of magnitude deeper and more complex. It is the ability to directly read and interpret a person's information field. Imagine that each of us is not just a physical body, but a complex, multi-layered quantum computer, constantly transmitting and receiving data through a kind of psychic Wi-Fi. This data is not just momentary emotions, joy, anger, sadness. These are entire archived packets of information that include unlived past traumas, deep imprints of pain, fear, betrayal that a person may have repressed from conscious memory, but which continue to affect their behavior and health. A quantum empath can sense this as a sudden heaviness in the chest, coldness in the limbs, or an image from the past surfacing in the mind. Deep, often unconscious beliefs and programs, core settings like "I am unworthy of love," "The world is dangerous, you can't trust anyone, I must be strong." These programs shape a person's reality, and the empath reads them as a background, constant vibration. Hidden talents and potentials, unawakened abilities, spiritual gifts, creative potential that the person does not see in themselves or is afraid to acknowledge. The empath may sense this as a flash of light, a feeling of rapture, or a specific image, for example, seeing the person with a paintbrush in hand, even though they are an accountant. True intentions and motives. What is hidden behind social masks, polite smiles, and politically correct phrases? The empath sees not the words, but the energetic impulse behind them: manipulation, sincerity, self-interest, or love. A quantum empath is not an emotional sponge absorbing others' negativity. This is a highly qualified operator of a quantum computer who can connect to another person's field and read their source code without filters, without censorship. This is precisely why this gift is so painful at first. You are confronted with the naked truth about people that they themselves hide. And this is precisely why many try for years to drown out this gift with alcohol noise. Workaholism just so as not to see, not to know, not to feel. Part 2. The Scientific Foundation. Neuroscience and physics of supersensitivity. To dispel any remaining doubts, let's turn to science. Your abilities are not a figment of your imagination, they have a material basis. Neuroscience of the quantum empath. Mirror neurons, the brain's superconducting network. In an ordinary person, mirror neurons help understand the actions and intentions of others. In a quantum empath, they form a hyperactive, superconducting network. When you see someone experiencing pain, your brain doesn't just understand it, it models it in high resolution. At the level of neural connections, muscle memory, and biochemical reactions, you may not only feel a physical tingling but also taste metal in your mouth, a sign of fear, or experience sudden weakness in your legs, a sign of insecurity. Your brain literally becomes their brain for a time. The insular cortex insula, the internal seismograph. This deeply hidden part of the brain is your internal supercomputer for processing bodily signals. In a quantum empath, it possesses heightened, almost supernatural sensitivity. It doesn't just read signals of hunger or thirst from your body. It picks up the subtlest vibrations and micro-oscillations from the energy fields of others, translating them into understandable bodily sensations. Tightness in the chest, a sign of grief. Ache in the stomach, a sign of anxiety. Warmth spreading through the hands, a sign of sincere joy. This is your direct channel of bodily intuition. Brainwave synchronization, the harmony of resonance. Research in interbrain connectivity shows that during deep, trusting communication, people's brainwaves can synchronize, entering a state of neural resonance. The brain of a quantum empath does this instantly, involuntarily, hand over great distances. It literally tunes to the frequency of another person, like a radio receiver tuning to a station's wavelength. This explains why you can feel the state of a loved one hundreds of kilometers away. Quantum physics and field theory. Unified field theory. Modern physics increasingly leans toward the idea that everything in the universe, from elementary particles to human thoughts, is connected into a single information field. For example, the Higgs field or the concept of a holographic universe. The quantum empath, due to the peculiarities of their nervous system, has a finer tuning to this field and can extract information from it that is inaccessible to ordinary perception. Quantum entanglement. This is a phenomenon where two particles, separated by a vast distance, remain connected. What happens to one instantly affects the state of the other. Your deep emotional connections with loved ones are precisely entanglement. At the level of consciousness, you are not making up anxiety for your child or longing for a friend. You are reading real changes in their quantum state through this invisible connection. Your brain and your essence are not a problem to be fixed. This is high-tech, super-sensitive equipment that you simply haven't learned to calibrate and use properly. It's time to study the control panel. Part 3. The observer effect and its power. How your attention creates reality. One of the most mysterious and fundamental phenomena in quantum physics is the observer effect. Simply put, the very act of observing a quantum system, e.g., a particle, influences its behavior. A particle exists in a state of all possibilities superposition, but when it is observed, it chooses one specific state. Now transfer this principle to human relationships. The quantum empath is that very observer of a higher order. Your attention is not a passive process. It is an active, creative act. When you direct your deep, non-judgmental, focused attention at someone, you are not just passively reading information from their field. You introduce perturbation into it. You influence it. You reveal their shadow. Carl Jung called the shadow everything a person suppresses and denies in themselves. Your presence, your seeingness acts like a spotlight beam into the dark basement of the psyche. You make the other person subconsciously see in you a living mirror. They begin to see in you their own fears, unacknowledged anger, hidden vulnerability. This is unbearable for someone who has spent years building their identity on the denial of these parts. Hence, unmotivated aggression, irritation, or conversely, an inexplicable attraction to you. They unconsciously feel that you can return their lost parts to them. You activate the potential for healing. By the same principle, your acceptance and deep understanding create around you a quantum field of safety. In this field, another soul feels that it can be accepted wholly, both the light and the dark side. This permission to be oneself is a catalyst. You do not heal them with your actions. You simply silently witness their original divine wholeness. And this quantum permission is often enough to trigger internal mechanisms of self-healing and transformation within them. Your gaze is not just a gaze. It is a tool of alchemy and transformation. You literally help others collapse into more whole and healthy versions of themselves. Part 4. The phenomenon of quantum entanglement. Why you feel people at a distance. Let's explore more deeply a phenomenon that many of you have experienced, but perhaps were afraid to admit even to yourselves. Quantum entanglement is not just a beautiful metaphor, but a fundamental law of the quantum world that manifests at the level of human relationships as, well, scientific explanation. In quantum physics, entangled particles remain connected regardless of distance. A change in the state of one is instantly reflected in the other. Your psyche operates on a similar principle. When you form a deep emotional connection with a person, quantum threads are created between your energy fields, invisible but extremely strong connections. How this manifests in the life of a quantum empath. 1. Sudden physical sensations, unexplained pain in a specific part of the body, sudden chills, or fever, rapid heartbeat for no reason, an attack of nausea or dizziness. 2. Emotional spikes, groundless anxiety or panic, sudden surges of joy, unrelated sadness, unmotivated irritability. 3. Mental images and insights, suddenly surfacing memories of a person, vivid dreams, involving specific people, spontaneous knowing about what is happening to someone, internal dialogues that turn out to be real. Practical application of this phenomenon. Conscious use of quantum entanglement allows you to be not just a passive receiver, but an active participant in the process. Targeted connection to the energy field of loved ones to check their condition, remote support through directing healing energies, conscious strengthening of healthy connections, and careful untying of toxic ones. Part 5. Expanded practice. 5 exercises for activating and developing quantum empathy theory. Without practice remains just interesting information. Here are 5 powerful exercises that will help you not only develop, but also learn to consciously manage your gift. 1. Exercise energetic differentiator goal. Learn to clearly distinguish your own emotions and states from those of others. Extended methodology. Upon entering a room with people, take 5 deep, conscious breaths in and out. Close your eyes for 10 to 15 seconds and conduct an internal scanning question. What am I feeling in my body right now? Become aware of the first emotion or physical sensation that comes. Ask a second key question. Is this mine or someone else's? Listen for the first, fastest answer from the area of your solar plexus or heart. Upon receiving the answer, someone else's, mentally imagine returning this energy packet to its owner, saying, "This is yours. I return it to you with love." Visualize your personal space being cleansed and filled with your own unique light. 2. Exercise multi-dimensional vision goal. Learn to perceive energy fields and auras in detail. In-depth protocol. Ask a friend to stand in front of a neutral background. Relax your gaze, defocusing your vision, looking at an area 10 to 15 centimeters above your partner's head. After 30 to 40 seconds, begin to gently move your gaze along the contour of the body, maintaining defocus. Pay attention not only to color but also to density of the glow, dense, sparse texture, uniform, speckled, striped, mobility, stable. Pulsating areas of darkening or bright flashes. Record your first impressions. They are usually the most accurate. 3. Exercise field resonance advanced level goal. Conscious connection to information fields. To gain deep insights, step-by-step instructions, entering a calm meditative state. Focus on your heart chakra. Imagine a beam of gold and silver light connecting your heart to the heart of the person you are interested in. Formulate a clear, respectful request, e.g., what is their deepest need right now? Let go of expectations and simply observe the images, sensations, and words that arise. The first, most unexpected answer is usually the most accurate. Upon completion, mentally thank the field for the information and gently sever the connection. 4. Exercise Soul Chronicles goal. Learn to read karmic and past life information. Execution method. Find a state of deep relaxation meditation. pre-sleep state. Visualize before you a library with endless rows of books, the Chronicles of Souls. Mentally ask for permission to access information about a specific person. Open the book and observe the first images that come. These could be symbols and archetypes, episodes from past incarnations, unlearned soul lessons, talents, and gifts carried into the current life. It is important to maintain the position of an observer without becoming emotionally involved. 5. Exercise quantum healer goal. Learn to direct healing energies through field interaction. Work protocol. Entering a state of deep peace, imagine the person you want to help. Visualize them surrounded by a luminous sphere. Direct into this sphere streams of emerald green light, emotional healing golden light, spiritual transformation sapphire blue light, mental cleansing. Mentally repeat, I direct energies of the highest good for name. Trust the wisdom of the universe, it knows what kind of help is needed at the moment. Finish the session by thanking the higher powers for their cooperation. Part 6. Advanced Protection and Ethics. How to create an impenetrable security system. As you develop your abilities, you must create a reliable protection system. Without this, you risk becoming a psychic dump for others' energy. Multi-level protection system. 1. Energetic immunity. Morning activation. Every morning, imagine your body filling with dense platinum light, creating an impenetrable cocoon. Crystalline grid. Visualize around yourself a grid of rotating sapphire crystals, reflecting any negative influences. Etheric mantras. Use sound vibrations, e.g., the mantra ram, to cleanse the space around you. 2. Psychological hygiene. Emotional quarantine. After difficult meetings, spend 5 to 10 minutes cleansing yourself of others' energies. Information diet. Limit consumption of negative news and toxic content. Selective connection. Consciously choose which fields to connect to and which to ignore. 3. Physical grounding. Elemental therapy. Regular contact with nature, walking barefoot, swimming in natural bodies of water. Bodily practices. Yoga, qigong, dancing help return to the body. Sensory reboot. Contrast showers. Aromatherapy. Massage. Ethical code of the quantum empath. 1. Principle of nonviolence. Never connect to a person's field without their explicit or silent consent. 2. Principle of inviolability. Do not use the information obtained for manipulation or personal gain. 3. Principle of service. Your gift is a tool for help, not control. 4. Principle of humility. Remember that you are a conductor, not the source of power. 5. Principle of development. Constantly work on purifying your motives and deepening your understanding. Part 7. Transformation of consciousness. From an empath to quantum conductor. When you master the BASICs, the most fascinating stage will begin, the transformation of your consciousness and perceptual reality. Stages of evolution of a quantum empath. 1. Awakening stage 0 to 6 months. Awareness of one's abilities. First attempts at control, understanding the need for protection, beginning of systematic practice. 2. Integration stage 6 months to 2 years. Stable distinction between mine and others, conscious use of abilities, development of a personal protection system. First experiences of helping others. 3. Master stage to 5 years. Instant reading of information, subtle work with field structures, ability for quantum healing, deep understanding of karmic connections. 4. Conductor stage 5+ years. Work with collective consciousness, access to the Akashic records, ability to influence future probabilities, becoming a conductor of cosmic energies, signs of progress on the path. Decrease in energetic hangover after contacts, increasing accuracy of received information, ability to help others without detriment to oneself, deep feeling of connection with all that exists, natural severing of toxic connections. Conclusion. Your mission in the new reality, dear quantum empath. Your gift is not an accident or a curse. You are a pioneer of a new human race, a being whose consciousness has evolved for life in a multidimensional reality, in a world where digital noise drowns out the quiet voice of the soul's superficial connections. Replace genuine intimacy. Mass culture teaches spiritual blindness. People like you become guardians of truth, conductors of depth, living bridges between the visible and invisible worlds. Your sensitivity is a superpower that allows you to See the soul behind social masks. Hear the truth behind loud words. Feel the pain that is hidden. Find light in the thickest darkness. But with great power comes great responsibility. Your task is not just to develop your gift, but to become a beacon for those who are still asleep. Be a healer for broken hearts. Serve as a bridge between worlds. Carry light into the darkest corners of the human soul. Practical task for viewers. 1. For the next week, keep a quantum impressions diary. 2. Record all unexplained sensations, images, premonitions. 3. Note which of them are confirmed in reality. 4. Share your observations in the comments. Subscribe to our channel. Like this video if it resonated with your soul. Write in the comments which of the described states are familiar to you. What difficulties do you face on your path? Your experience is invaluable for our collective development. Until we meet again in the space of limitless possibilities, remember, the boldest step you can take is to accept your divine nature and begin to live in accordance with it.